Hello and welcome to my channel, and today we are filming my March wrap-up. So I actually read a decent amount in March, not as much as I wanted to. I started about 4 or 5 books besides this pile that I didn't end up finishing that I'll probably just carry over into April if I finish it, but April's going to be a pretty big reading month, so I'm not sure what I'm actually going to get to. But it's fine, it's fine. I'm the queen of making giant TBRs that I'm never going to stick to, and I acknowledge that. There are a few additional rules, so if you've watched my other wrap-ups, you'll know what this is. This is my bingo board for the year, and it's basically just a way for me to keep track of all of my goals throughout the year, bookish and non-bookish. Now, we are adding a couple of rules to this, so in my last wrap-up, I ended up buying more books than I accumulated points for, and we were trying to figure out a punishment to get me to not do that anymore. And we came up with one, and we're going to be starting that this month. We're not going to count it for February because we just decided that we were going to be doing it. So I'm counting it for March onwards, which either way, it screws me over because I definitely bought more books than I accumulated points for this month. Starting with the top right-hand corner, nonfiction, which I absolutely finished a nonfiction this month, and the Meditations of Marcus Aurelius, which is a rollover from February. I did finally end up finishing it, and I really enjoyed this. It was very insightful, and definitely I think I enjoyed this a lot more than I was expecting to. It was a lot more insightful, and I could definitely relate to a lot of what was said in this book, and I can't wait for Benson to read it so that we can talk about it and enjoy it together. The next one is a self-care day, which I definitely accomplished. I love self-care days. They're my favorite things. Don't ask me what I did. I don't remember, but I know I did one. And then series, which I finished a series this month, you guys. I finished the Incredibly Dead Pets of Rex Dexter series. This is the third and final book. This follows Rex Dexter, who is cursed to see dead animals, and he has to help them figure out how they died and why they're still here and living so that they can move on. And this was just the perfect conclusion to the series. This is definitely a book series that could have kept going for a long amount of time, and it still have been equally entertaining. But it didn't. This was the last one, and it definitely tugged on my heartstrings. I just love these characters so much, the animals especially, and I will definitely be looking forward to more from this author in the future. So I didn't put out any videos in the month of March. I'm 90%, like 99% sure I didn't post anything in March, but I did start a video project, and March was a weird month. I went on vacation. Work is going through some weird changes, so I'm gonna cut myself some slack here, and I'm gonna count it. And audiobook I did complete, which gives us our first bingo. Now for my audiobook, this selection I was technically going to count towards my book club read, but I have something else planned for that. So I read Psalms for the Wild built for Lexi's over at Alexandra Roseland's Patreon, and oh my goodness, I don't even know how to describe this book. It is a sci-fi novella following our main character who meets a robot, and the robot is basically trying to figure out the answer to the question, what do people need? And it was such a breathtakingly beautiful novella. It was just so short, and I got like a love or hate thing with short books. I always want there to be more, but I thought it was so beautiful and so insightful. And I think I just found out that there is a second book in this series. I'm not sure if it's following the same characters or not, but I will definitely be checking that out very soon. Upload weekly was not a thing. I just said I don't think I uploaded anything through the entire month of March, but we're gonna fix that in April. Ebook, I did finish an ebook. Now I technically own a physical copy of the ebook that I read, but in order for me to read as much as I do and to get through books, I like having multiple books on hand at time, but I usually have them in different formats. So I read Kaiju Preservation Society. This follows Jamie, who just gets fired from their job, and they end up with this opportunity to join this secret organization known as the Kaiju Preservation Society. And it's basically their adventures through that whole thing and learning that kaiju exists and there's an alternate dimension and all this really cool sci-fi stuff. This to me is what I wanted Jurassic Park to be. There definitely wasn't any like groundbreaking twists or turns, at least not until the 200-page mark, and this book isn't that much longer than 200 pages. It's like 260 pages, but until the 200-page mark, nothing really big happens. And I still enjoyed every minute of it. There was humor in here that definitely landed for me. I thought it was really funny, and it just wasn't as boring as I thought Jurassic Park was. That's all I'm gonna say. So I technically haven't baked anything as of at this minute, but once I finish filming videos, I'm gonna make chocolate covered strawberries at some point, either tonight or tomorrow. So I'm still gonna count that, even though technically tomorrow is a whole new month. But that's okay. Reread, I did not complete my reread of Me, My Dad, and the End of the Rainbow, so I can't check that off. However, video game, I can. I didn't fully complete it, but I have gotten through more than enough of the game to say that I played Kirby and the Forgotten Lands, which is a game that Benson has been hounding me to play forever. Since he played it, since it came out, he was like, "You're gonna love the Kirby games. I know you're gonna love the Kirby games," and I absolutely adored this one. It was in his top 10 games of 2022 last year. If you haven't checked that video out, make sure to do so, because it's absolutely fantastic, as are all of his videos. But I absolutely, he was totally right. I absolutely did enjoy every second of the game, and it intrigues me, makes me very intrigued to see how I am going to like the Kirby games in going forth, because this is my first Kirby game and it's the first 3D Kirby game. So going backwards, I'm intrigued to see what I'm gonna think of the other games as a new fan. Loved one pick, I did not complete the book that Connor chose for me from the library, but again, I'm gonna be rolling that over into April, so I'll talk about it then. This one is Readathon, which I participated in a few readathons this month. I participated in the final book support group readathon. I participated in a 48-hour readathon that Lexi and Gavin from How to Train Your Gavin hosted, and it was just Lexi. This one, I think Gavin is hosting the middle grade readathon with her. So I participated in at least 2. I'm pretty sure there was another one, but I don't remember. For this free space, I'm going to be talking about Wretched Water Park. This follows 3 siblings who are basically forced to go to their aunt's house over the summer, but they don't really remember much of why or how or ever really meeting this aunt before, and they're kind of forced to go to this water park that they had never heard of, and it's got some weird, sketchy undertones to it. This reminded me a lot of Series of Unfortunate Events, and not always, like, almost too much like Series of Unfortunate Events, in a way that it just felt like it was kind of copy and pasted through a lot of it. I was still really intrigued. It did have some interesting twists and turns, and I know there are so many questions that I still don't have answers to, because this is the first book in the series. So I'm really intrigued to see where this series goes, and I really want some answers to a lot of the questions that I have. So even though this is a lot like Series of Unfortunate Events, and it didn't necessarily sit well with me, I'm still going to continue on with the series because there are just so many questions. For library, I actually ended up reading technically 2 nonfictions this month. I read Nerd Adventures in Fandom Adventures in Fandom from This Universe to the Multiverse. Reading backwards is hard. But I read this and oh my goodness, I adored this so much. I do not rate nonfiction, but this made me want to so bad, because it would have been a 5 out of 5 star this was so interesting. It didn't just talk about the author's perspective, but it talked about basically how media is portrayed in certain ways, and how trends can be harmful and helpful, and you can tell that the author like truly cares about this topic, and they weren't just she wasn't just talking about fandoms that she enjoyed, but fandoms from a perspective, because even fandoms that she absolutely adored, she pretty much picked apart. And she didn't do it in a distasteful way whatsoever. She did it in a way that was definitely fair. And there were fandoms in here that I absolutely adore and that she would kind of nitpick at, that I was like, you know what, totally fair. Like Fairy Tail included, which is the anime Benson and I are watching. It's one of his favorite anime. But there were certain things she said about that, as well as other fandoms in here, that I was just like, yeah, you know, like it's one of my favorite series. I absolutely adore it, but you can't deny that there are certain things that are just wrong with the way we view media. And all, I did unhaul a book, but I forgot to grab it off of my shelf, so give me a second. Okay, so I decided to unhaul The Truth Project. This is one that's been sitting on my shelf for quite a while, that I've been debating on whether or not to get rid of. But realistically, I don't think I'm ever going to reread it, and I think this is an important book that somebody somewhere is going to relate to and enjoy a lot more than it just sitting on my shelf. Buzzword. And technically I have not finished this yet, but I have enough time between now and between later on when I go out that I think I absolutely could finish it. But that is the next book in the Secret series, which I'm reading on my Kindle. So it's called This Isn't What It Looks Like, and this is book 4 out of 5 in the Secret series, following Cass and Max Ernest and their dealings with the secret society and everything. And I can't go too much into spoilers because book 4 starts directly after book 3, or like a couple weeks after book 3. And oh my goodness, you just have to read this for yourself. It is getting so intense, still so much fun to read the entire series. So if you have not picked it up yet and you like middle grade books, I highly suggest that you do so. I'm so looking forward to getting all of the answers to the questions that we have not gotten yet, including who the author is and who the narrator is. And I'm just, God, I can't wait to finish it. Date night. We did have a date night. We went to PAX East in Boston. That was, you know, my vacation week and all of that. And we went out to do dinner together, just the two of us, which was really nice because we spent most of the week with some of our friends, and his youngest sibling came with us. So it was really nice just to go out to dinner with the two of us. Big book, and for that I chose Grounded for All Eternity. This takes place in suburban hell, and we follow our 4 main characters who basically have their whole future planned out for them. And Malachi, who is our main protagonist, isn't sure if he can handle it. And then he is finally put to the test when a soul escapes from hell, and him and his friends have to figure out a way to get him back. I thought this was a great book, a wonderful story about finding yourself and being yourself, and there were some nods to the Salem witch trials in here that I absolutely adored. That was probably one of my obsessions when I was growing up, when I was about this age, was learning about the Salem witch trials and getting to see these characters figure out what the hell is going on and get it the hell. And also the setting, I thought it was really, really interesting having characters that live in suburban hell. I really enjoyed that, and that's kind of what made me want to pick this up. I do think there are some themes in here that might be considered a bit mature for children reading this, but I don't think that is something that should hinder anybody from picking it up. I think this is a great book that could start some conversations even with those mature aspects, and this is the kind of book that our children maybe should be reading. Adventure. Okay, we did go to PAX East, like I just said, and we had a wonderful time. We saw some amazing games that we're looking forward to and that I can't wait to talk to you guys about, because obviously I'm like a pro gamer now. But yeah, we had a lot of great fun with some of our friends. Classic. Now this one might be a bit of a stretch, but it gives us our second bingo, and that's Bunnicula. I consider this a children's classic. It's one that I've never read before, and it's one that Benson said was one of his favorites growing up. And this is basically a classic Dracula story, but following the perspective of animals, and I thought this was really funny. And it was actually a really fun time. I do think that it was I think it was a little overhyped, but maybe if I read this as a child, I probably would have enjoyed this a lot more. And I don't know, I kind of wish that I had grown up with this story. Chores. So, like I said, March was a weird month. We didn't really keep up with everything as much as I wanted to. However, I'm cutting myself some slack this month. I really am. Because right now, our room is clean. We did buy groceries pretty much every week, except for the week that we were at PAX. Our laundry has been getting done, and you know what? It doesn't matter if I cut myself some slack there or not, because it doesn't get us anything. We do, however, have 2 bingos. Let's see if we can get any more. And then book club. So this is an unofficial book club, but I'm going to count it towards this prompt. Otherwise, it was going to get counted towards a prompt that already has a book attached to it. So I have Junie B. Jones Has a Peep in Her Pocket. This is a series that, if you don't know, I am reading aloud with my fiance, who absolutely loves this series. I'll leave his opinions right here. Actually, you know what? I'm going to be editing this video, so he doesn't have a say. So I'm going to say he absolutely adores this series so much, and he enjoyed this one in particular. This one follows Junie B. Jones, who is going on a field trip to a farm, and she's a little apprehensive about it because she finds out that chickens and roosters especially might be a little rude. So we follow her and her anxiety through that whole thing, and I probably didn't enjoy this as much as I did when I was younger. This is definitely not my favorite one that I've reread or favorite that I've read in the past. Fitness. We did a lot of walking this month. A lot of walking. So, yeah. I'm going to get more into, like, actual workouts in the month of April. But right now, like, my job is very physical. Like, I'm lifting things all the time. I'm running back and forth with orders all of the time. So I am moving. I am very active. So sometimes that's just gotta count for my workout of the day, and I'm totally fine with that. And then small book, which I have 2 books to talk about for this one. Volume 4 of Spy Family. I have talked about this before, and I will continue talking about it because I just bought volumes 5 through 8, and I just absolutely adore this series. This is the first manga in a long time that I just wanted to sit down and binge all of, one after the other, and I can't say how much I love this series more. If you haven't heard me talk about it in the past, this follows Twilight, who is a spy, and for one of his missions, he needs to acquire a wife and a child. What he doesn't realize, though, is that the child he adopts has telekinesis, or is a telepath, not telekinesis, is a telepath, and the wife that he marries is a trained assassin. And this is probably one of my favorite ones so far, because they get a dog in this one, and oh my god, I cannot wait to continue on with the series, as well as watch the manga, because I am pretty sure that the manga is a little further on than or as well as watch the anime, you dumbass. anime, as well as watch the anime. Yeah, okay, Next one I read is Persephone. This is a graphic novel retelling of the Persephone and Hades story. I enjoyed this. I thought it was interesting. I probably gave it like a 3 or even 2.5 star, honestly. It wasn't anything super special. It wasn't anything super wonderful. It didn't really add anything to the story, and it was weirdly sexualized for some reason. Like, there's a good chunk of this that's just them having sex on page, and I didn't see any reason for that. And lastly, the bottom corner, you can't really see that, but you'll have to trust me, is movies. And I watched 2 new movies this month, both of which were Studio Ghibli films. So we got 5 bingos, because we got 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold on, I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Cool. Okay, we got a lot more than I thought I was going to. Yeah. But the 2 movies I watched were My Neighbor Totoro and Ponyo. I watched both of those for the first time. I think I enjoyed Ponyo a little more. Like, I don't really like to compare them, even though they're from the same studio, but I really enjoyed Ponyo, which is basically, like, I saw a lot of inspiration from, like, The Little Mermaid, which I didn't really see until, like, later on, but I did really enjoy it. It was probably my favorite Studio Ghibli film to date, and I know that's an unpopular opinion, but I enjoyed it. It made me laugh, and it made me smile, and it was just wonderful. And My Neighbor Totoro, I wish we had more time with Totoro. Like, his name is literally in the title, and I don't feel like we saw him as much as I wanted to, but I still really enjoyed it. It's definitely up there as one of my top favorite movies of all time now, and I can't wait to watch more. Now, that got me 5 points, right? But I also did some book buying while I was on vacation, and I've already used those 5 points and then some. I ended up buying a couple of books from this independent bookstore in Boston while we were there, and these were the 2 that I bought. They were in a blind date with a book, so they had these drawings, and I wish I took a picture of it beforehand, but they had these drawings on them that kind of intrigued me, so I ended up picking up these 2, and these were the surprises. And then Newbury Comics in Boston on Newbury Street was having a buy one get one half off manga sale, and I of course had to take advantage of it while we were there, which probably wasn't the best idea, but in all honesty, when you consider the fact that the 6 manga that I bought probably would have come out to about $75, and I got them for $50, like, I'll take it. But I got the next 4 volumes of Spy Family, 5 through 8. And then I got a new to me series, which looks super intriguing. It's called The Geek X Hitman. I got volumes 1 and 2, and this basically follows this hitman who decides to put that life behind him when he discovers the magic of anime and manga and all the nerdy stuff. That makes how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So even though I got those 5 points, next month I'm going to have to take away 3 of those points. But I am doubling down in April. I am not buying a single book if I get a present for whatever reason, because Benson and my anniversary is coming up at the end of April. If I get a present or whatever, like, that's one thing, but I will not be buying any books, and Benson and you are going to hold me to that. However, with that being said, I did say we were adding a couple rules, and it wasn't just that I was able to take, or wasn't just that I had to take away points if I overbought. It's also because I do in my TBRs, I do pick out a book from my series mug every single month, and we've decided that I'm not counting the books that I have to buy for that, because there are some series that I already own. If I own the first 2 or 3 books in the series, and I ended up picking out a book from that, like the next book from that series, and I have to buy the volume. Like, I'm not going to borrow a book that I already own the majority of the series of, so that doesn't count. So if I have to buy a book for the month, that would be the only reason that I have to. But otherwise, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you want to see more from me, as well as Benson, who's a frequent member on this channel. I will leave all of his links down in the description box below, as well as links to my social media if you want to get any more information from me. But until then, you have a nice day. Okay, editing me here. So after watching the ending of that video and realizing that I didn't get 5 bingos, I in fact got 7 bingos. So pretty much just ignore what I said about the 5 bingos and about taking away points for 3 of those. I only have to take away points for 1 because I forgot to mention, I don't think I mentioned that I got Hang the Moon, which is the sequel book to Written in the Stars. So I did get that one. So I will still have to take away a point, but not as many as I originally thought. So excuse my poor math skills. We did get 7 bingos, and I will only be taking away 1 when I film the April wrap-up. Okay, bye.